Okay then, so tomatoes, what have we got? Start off with a couple of currant type tomatoes. We've got ourselves these little tomato sweet pea currants. I'm only going to be doing two of each, so I'm going to have two of those. They're like most of these are sort of like bushy types. They tend to be a bush variety that sort of determine their own height, and then they'll just grow lots and lots of side shoots, which you generally want to keep in bush varieties. And they'll just produce loads of little, not pea-sized, but marble-sized tomatoes. Not the big daubers, but the little regular size ones. And of course, hundreds and thousands, as you can guess, is another, big sort of bushy type, or not too sure. Is that one a bush? Generally, if they're pea types, they're bushy types. I haven't looked through these in a while. Some of them do tend to grow, as cordons, and then just produce like these, big bushes, where you end up with the, huge amounts of fruits set on each truss, and you've got tiny, tiny little berries. But generally, they do tend to, cherry types tend to be bush types. And of course, Estonian yellow is another where we're going to get lots and lots of little tiny uniform berry sized cherry fruit tomatoes. And then Brandywine. Brandywine is more of a sort of regular type of tomato you might see. It's kind of a bit beefy. It's generally a sort of big but flattish sort of big tomato. So that's a sort of beefy type, but it's a yellowy one. Oops, apologies. And then for giggles, we've got ourselves some Gigantamo. These are the ones that again are a big beef type, and you can grow some really big, heavy, like sort of 1-pounders, things like that. So that's just going to be for a laugh, not really necessarily for anything eating. It's just going to be something fun to try, see if I can get a nice big tomato. You want to look for, if you ever try doing that, you want the ones that produce mega blooms, as they call it. It looks like a flower within a flower. So you get, these like sort of like double looking flowers, and those are going to lead to a nice big tomato for you. And then the window box variety, which is sort of going to trail itself. Can't remember what exactly these were advertised as, but they're a yellow variety that you can put in window boxes. I'm going to do them in hanging baskets as well, and they're going to just sort of trail out of the basket, hang down, and produce lots of tomatoes that you can just reach up and pick off. So those are the main varieties that we're going to be doing there. And there is a couple of other interesting ones that I am going to show you. I just need to go and get those, and I'll explain a little bit about what is special, my reason behind why I'm going to be doing what I'm going to be doing. Alright, got them. They weren't with all the others. Again, currant types, but these ones I have seen growing. I saw these at the Tatton show last year, 2017. These are from Robinsons. Robinsons tend to be a company that are, you sort of go for, and you get the unusual, nice, attractive looking varieties, big fruiting varieties, and you also get sort of lots of show veg from them and giant veg. They do a lot of things like that. So these I saw as, huge bushy plants. They had it in like one sort of big 60-litre or greater pot, and it was, I think it was a 60-litre, I could be wrong, but it was like a very big sort of giant pot looking. It looked something of that size, and they had it sort of growing up, and it was at least 4 foot or something around that type. I'm trying to think, because obviously you've got to account for the pot, but the plant was about 4 foot, huge bush like thing, and it was just absolutely covered with smatterings of tomatoes, loads of little berries, currant size, just all over it. So I bought some of those. A little bit dearer than what you might normally end up paying for something like that, but it was worth it. And this year I've decided to grow those, and I've bought specifically at the end of last year some obelisks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get probably a 30 by 30 pot, maybe, I think would be a good size. I know it's a bit smaller than what they used, but I'm starting these a bit probably later than they did. They probably had like a full-on growing season where they started with lights. Don't know, I didn't quite check, but you can imagine something, how far on that tomato looked. It's got to have been grown for a while. I'm going to put them into probably 30 centimetre wide, depth pots, which 12 by 12, something like that, and is that 15 litres? Something around those lines. And I'm going to sink an obelisk into the middle. Then the tomato is going to get planted in the centre once I've grown it to a certain size, probably about a foot. It'll be ready because it's going to go outdoors. And then it'll grow up the obelisk, and as it bushes out and bursts out, it's going to be self-supported, and it's just going to set, hopefully, loads of little berry currants that you can just keep going and picking off all year round. So I'll show you the obelisks, and then I'm going to sow all these, and I'll keep you up to date with how things are going with that.